Well, let's move on to a team that really has had barely any blips in the radar this season. They just locked up the 1 seed, beat the Dolphins 56-19, which is the second most points they've scored in their entire franchise. Nonetheless, only to the first time, which was 59-10 against the Dolphins. And Mr. Sam Gold was there at Miami. That was my only game I've ever seen in Miami.
The Dolphins, once again, feeding into what everyone's been saying. They really struggle against the good teams. The Ravens, injuries aside, they have just been kicking everyone's butt. They cruise to the 1 seed, it seems like, even with all these injuries.
The Ravens pop up once a decade to go ahead and win a Super Bowl.
What?
And this feels like the year they're going to do it, and they're probably going to beat the 49ers again, honestly.
What is there not to say about this team? They've been through adversity with injuries. Lamar Jackson is going to win his second MVP. You have rookies.
It's genuinely, let that set in. Because, Chris, the Ravens have been good all year, but we genuinely have not mentioned Lamar being an MVP candidate until last week.
No, I know.
Like, think about how wild this race has been. Now, we have had so many MVP talks over the last few weeks. Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott,
You threw Stroud
McCaffrey,
in there for a little bit.
CJ Stroud. I texted you Baker Mayfield, maybe. I don't know. Things got crazy. No, not really, but I mean, like, Lamar is really going to go out there and win a second MVP. And the only other quarterback starting right now has done that is Mahomes. It's extremely impressive. They have now not only beaten good teams, but they have demolished good teams.
And they've done it with a lot of their top guys out for the year.
They've beaten the Bengals, the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Lions. They've demolished all of those teams nonetheless.
And I hate being here, being a Steeler fan, having to give this team credit, but they deserve all the props in the world. I feel sick to my stomach having to sit here.
You have to do it.
But they're just the best team in the AFC right now, arguably the NFL.
They're the best team in the NFL. I really have not seen any flaws lately. I mean, the fact that the number one concern when Mark Andrews went down is like, great, there goes his safety blanket. Isaiah Likely, 2 touchdowns this game. He had a phenomenal one-handed catch highlight for a touchdown. There's no issues. Zay Flowers. Was he the one that had the long 60-yard touchdown? Yeah. Fantastic. Justice Hill had multiple, 25-plus yard runs. And then Gus Edwards always cleans it up in the red zone and scores touchdowns. Their defense is phenomenal. Their defense gets takeaways and holds the Dolphins to 19 points with Tyreek Hill and all of them. I just don't understand, especially as a Chiefs fan, I cannot picture them right now going into Baltimore and even keeping it close. I just don't see a part of this team, unless there's injuries, which obviously we're not going to bank on that because that's a stupid thing to talk about. Lamar is locked in. You could just tell. You could tell it's a different MVP Lamar this year as well. It's a more safe, it's a more smart game manager. He throws it when he needs to. He runs it when he needs to. He's not worrying about his stats. They run the ball when they want to. They play good defense. They're just so well-rounded. And the Ravens, you got to give props to them. They are one of the best franchises since they've come into the league and taken over the Browns. They've been a top 10 franchise in the NFL. You talk about the Steelers being 9-8 every year. How many times have the Ravens really had a bad season in our lifetimes?
Rarely.
You don't really think about the Ravens being like a 4-13 team ever.
No.
They're always in the hunt. They're always in the playoff race. And now this year, they're going to probably go to their third Super Bowl in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and you back to your point of saying I don't know who can keep it close with them.
This was the team. This was the game that was going to prove it.
They
lost 56-19.
The only team I could say, and I know people are going to say, "Oh, that's because you're a fan," is the Steelers. Simply because
the Steelers did beat them.
I know,
to be fair.
and simply because AFC North, and they always have those weird close games. But besides that, I don't even know.
This is a point I want to tie it into, which is why I feel like the NFL definitely wants this to happen. Chris, if Joe Flacco goes into Baltimore in the divisional rounds, I might just have to bet on Cleveland. I'm sorry. I know it's bold. I know it's bold.
What a story that would be.
If there's a team to do it, if there's a team to go into Baltimore, just like the Titans did in 2019 in the divisional round and rain on their parade, it's going to be Joe Flacco and the Browns. Now, we're not really going to talk about the Jets game.
I don't want to see either one of those teams have any postseason success, obviously.
I mean, you wouldn't be that. You'd be happy for Browns fans.
No, I wouldn't. When have they ever been happy for Steelers? No. So why should I ever be happy?
All right. Well,
they're a division rival. Why should I ever root for them?
Yeah, I guess. But they're just such a sad franchise.
Good.
I feel so bad.
Good. Every
They've had no happiness ever. What have they ever done to this? They've done 2020. Okay, we don't have to talk about that.
I will never.
I forgot about that playoff game. You're right. You know what? The Browns. I might just place a bet on the Browns this week to win the Super Bowl. Browns-Lions Super Bowl 2024. It's a new year.
In like 2015,
a new team is gonna finally win a Super Bowl.
In 2015, that's like something that we would say as a joke. Browns Lions Super Bowl. Let's play it on Madden.